Welcome to But I Digress, a cocktails and conversation podcast with your hosts, Warren Smith and me, Irish Stewart. Come on in, honey.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. This is, of course, But I Digress, where myself, Warren, and, of course, my wonderful friend Irish have a few cocktails, a few drinks, and talk about what's been going on in our lives. So, how are you today, Irish?
Well, I'm doing actually very well now that you told me I didn't have to behave. So...
Sorry. Can we do more than 45 seconds before I spit beer out of my nostrils?
Well, I mean, I was very excited when you said that right before I went on the air. So, I mean, I'm sorry. I just had to, I say things that are on my mind. So here I am saying.
That's good.
Pretty excited to know that I have
for.
Permission to, be me.
Yes. which is what I want and everyone listening wants. So,
Oh, yeah.
Well, at least, I don't know, Trevor in Michigan or whatever, whoever listens to this show, I don't know. Or is he too busy doing his own podcast? Sorry, that's a private joke. That's a private joke, everyone. Sorry, you won't get it. Sorry.
That was rude.
We were, Irish and I were actually talking off air about how people like to do podcasts about subjects they know nothing about. And anyway,
us sometimes, though.
There's a bit of a difference. We give our opinion on the subject. It's very different to someone who is sort of saying, I so and so is doing this and they're doing it. Like it's a little bit different to sort of saying I support this or I don't support it. It's a different thing. It's a bit like...
I mean, some people might say you're splitting hairs, but I mean, I agree with you because I don't want to get in trouble for the stuff I say. So let's just pretend it doesn't happen.
Yes. Well, I mean,
I don't listen to the show, so therefore I never said these things.
There you go. No, neither do I actually. So
I would never do that. Oh my god.
No, I find
I'd be horrified.
Really, I find it very difficult to listen to myself and then sort of go, the fuck did I really say that? So.
Plus, I hate the way I sound recorded, so I'm never going to do that. Never going to do it.
I know.
No.
I'm very much the same. But the reason why
we can delve into my deeper psychological issues in a few minutes. But let's move on.
But look, the reason why that joke sort of came up was the fact that because of course there is an elephant in the room, and
it's Republicans. No.
And yes, well, yes, that's the CPAC, isn't it?
Well, I mean, kind of.
Fuck me. Some of the things that were said there, yes, yeah, anyway. And that is, of course, what's happening in Ukraine at the moment. We were just sort of saying, look, there's no point us talking about it. We can't give any information. We can't give any, there's nothing we can do. One thing I will just say on the matter, and that is quite simply, fuck you, Putin, fuck you, Russia. It's that simple. Other than that, there's not a lot else I can really say,
I mean, I stand with the Ukrainian people. I think that the shit that's going on is bullshit. I would like people also to remember that there's a lot of other countries that are being put through a bunch of shit all the time too, like Yemen and Palestine and many places. And I don't want us to forget about them in the midst of this. But God, I just fuck the governments in general, and I just save the people. That's kind of the way I feel about it. And other than that, I think we should just move on. I just want the best for all the people.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So I think no need to say anything else, but I will just say
let's stop killing each other. Let's just
that would be an ideal world, But until that happens, fuck you, Putin, fuck you, Russia. All right, let's move on.
Right on.
I have been actually doing quite a bit. Well, ever since we've talked about this before, ever since COVID started, I've been reading a lot more books than I used to.
Oh, that's good, though.
And, probably because of the amount of time that, I was locked away, especially because I lived in a city which loved to lock people away. Okay, don't take that the wrong way, people. We're talking about COVID lockdowns, all right? So, yeah.
That'll still stir some shit up with some people, so.
Oh, absolutely, will it?
Yeah.
What? The amount of people who are still fucking carrying on about...
I know.
Anyway,
anyway,
one of a couple of books that I've just read, which I've always wanted to read and I never had, was Jules Verne's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and also Carl Sagan's Contact. And a lot of people will have seen the Disney movie 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and they will have seen the movie Contact with Jodie Foster. Mm-hmm. Jodie Foster? Yeah, Jodie Foster.
Yeah, it was,
and it was very, very interesting to read the books. And there is something that I need to say, and that is that I wish I had have read 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea when I was a teenager. I have fallen in love with that story. I've never actually had a book or a movie where it's finished and I literally have gone, I want to read it again right now. I want to start over. Yeah. I was just absolutely drawn to the story so much. Wow. It's never happened to me before. In either a movie or a book. Right. But the other one too is Contact. You've got to read it Irish. You've got to read it. I
have read it all. So I've also never read 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, to be honest with you.
Well, it's. I think 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea has appealed to me so much because it's like a boy's own adventure, but the thing is, or what we used to call a boy's own adventure. I know that's probably not the right term anymore. I should say teenager's own adventure, probably. But the thing is that where am I going with it? It's no, that's all right. It's just it's pure adventure. Pure adventure, and the fact that this was written in like 1871 or something or other, just absolutely blows my mind. I mean, yes, there's so much science in it, which is absolute nonsense, but considering it was written in 1870, it's not bad. It's actually not bad, and the other thing too was I never realised this. Because I always thought, why is this story called 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea? You can't go 20,000 leagues down. Like, it's not, the ocean's not, even at the deepest point, is not that deep. How the one, and I never realised until I finished reading the 20,000 leagues is the distance that it's 20,000 leagues in a submarine. It's like we travelled 20,000 leagues in a submarine.
We went 20,000 leagues and we were also under the sea.
I know, yeah.
While we were under the sea.
It's like that classic movie which was taken from a German book, Enemy Mine.
Yes.
But of course it's taken from the book My Enemy. And of course it got all misinterpreted when they made the film, and the film was put out with the title of Enemy Mine, which confuses the fuck out of people. I still love
that movie.
Yeah?
I did it. I was a kid when I saw it, and I don't know, there was something about it. I just really loved that movie. Yeah.
It's very much like the there was a movie, I think it was made in the 1950s or 1960s with I've forgotten his name now, and American actor and a Japanese actor, where it's an American and a Japanese, and they're trapped on an island together for the whole war.
Gosh, now that you said, it went right out of my head as soon as, gosh, I can't remember, but I know exactly what movie you're talking about, and I might look it up. Keep talking, because I'm gonna.
Yeah, and
look it up, maybe.
Lee Marvin, I think, was one of the actors, and the idea that they get left behind on this desert island in the middle of the Pacific, and they're not picked up literally until the end of the war, and they've had to survive together. They're enemies, but they need to be friends at the same time. It's Hell
in the Pacific.
Hell in the Pacific. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yes.
Very interesting film.
Yeah. Toshiro I'm sorry, I'm going to just mangle that. Mifune. Okay, that's the last name of the guy who played the Captain Tushukiru Kuroda. And then, Lee Marvin played the American pilot there. So, yeah, you're right. Hell in the Pacific.
Yes. But
1968.
1968. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
But Enemy Mine... Look, I've got to stop talking. Please talk. I'm taking up all the airtime.
No,
sorry.
No. What are you talking about? I was just talking. It's my job to interrupt you when you're talking. That's the difference.
I always feel that I talk too much, so I'll just hang on.
If you're talking too much, I'll tell you to shut up. You know I don't have a problem doing that.
I'm just refilling my stein at the moment. Hang on. So.
Well. Now
that's
that. I guess I have to drink more wine now.
Well, that's not code.
See what you've done.
That's not code for me taking a piss, by the way. Too. I'm actually filling my stein with beer. Yeah. So.
Wine. It's a little early for the bathroom talk, isn't it?
I don't know.
Like, no, really though.
But you loved Enemy Mine, the movie.
I did because I don't know. I was a kid when I saw it, and I didn't. I guess it was just the story of the two people there. You know, I don't even remember that much of it. But I do remember how much I loved it when I saw it. I think it was just something so different. And it kind of reminded me of, in a way, the Star Trek The Next Generation episode, where Picard was on the planet. And to be honest with you, I'm going to totally mangle this too right now. He was telling the story of Gilgamesh.
Right.
Do you know this episode?
I don't recall it, but then...
Oh, my God.
You know, I love Star Trek, but I'm not an expert on it by any, you know.
No. It was such a great episode. I mean, let's be honest. Patrick Stewart is Picard. I mean,
best
so many
ever.
of his episodes
best captain ever.
I agree with you, hands down. And I that's a hill I'll die on. I will fight you to the death if you want to come and come in.
I fucking agree. I absolutely.
I wish I could remember it now. It was they didn't speak the same language, and they were and Picard was trying to. They spoke in parables, kind of. They spoke in riddles, and I mean not riddles, but they. You know what? Again, I've had some wine already, and I cannot remember the word for this, and I'm a fucking writer. So, it was basically the same kind of setup, I think, as an Enemy Mine. But the whole point was these two people alone who could barely communicate with each other, and they had to learn to communicate, to work together to get out of where they were, kind of. And it was just this beautiful story, and it kind of reminded me of Enemy Mine.
It was also done on Battlestar Galactica.
I mean, it's probably an old trope.
Yeah, it is actually. Yeah.
You know, it was one of the first times I'd ever seen it in a sci-fi setting, and it was more in a sci-fi setting, a character-driven piece than an action film, which was weird even then for a sci-fi film. It was literally a relationship drama. And to me, that was very intriguing, even at that age. I don't even know how old I was when that movie came out.
Would have come out even remember. Early 80s, that movie had come out, or mid-80s, early 80s. Somewhere like that. 85. Okay, so, 85, yeah.
So I was 15.
Yeah.
And I just gave away my age on the air. And if anybody even remotely tries to remind me of that, I swear to God, I will find you, and it won't be pleasant. So we'll just move on.
We'll move on. We'll move on. But I
don't want to think about it.
but Contact is definitely a book if you just hop on Amazon, hop on eBay or whatever, grab yourself a secondhand $5 copy. I was blown away. God, my Twitter just went off. I thought I put your phone to silent.
You're so popular.
I know. No, I'm not. Trust me, I know I'm not. with my whole 109 followers, 20 of who are bots. But anyway.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I have my fair share these days.
What was I saying? Oh, yes, yeah. So, but the thing about it is that it was written in 1986, or at least it was published in 1986, and it's set in 1999. And I know it's out of date, but the thing is that the president in it is a woman, and it's there is a lot.
The alternate history.
Well, but there is a lot of female kind of like perspective in this. It's like the idea that like Carl Sagan sort of because he was a huge feminist, Carl Sagan, and the idea that in his book that in the future, and even though we're not there yet, we're 20 years ahead of when the book was set, but women had so many high positions of power, and
lofty ideals.
Yeah, it's great. The other thing too is that it even deals with topics in regards to you've seen the film, so you know the basic concept. It's just that the book is very different to the movie, but the concept of what happens is roughly the same. Okay, but it deals with issues like slavery, because the whole idea is that. For us, we obviously believe that, most of us do anyway, that slavery is an evil.
I would hope that we do, yeah.
But a lot of us still don't, unfortunately. But the idea is that, does that mean that another species would feel the same way? Because...
Well, they would still be wrong.
No. But that's not arguing. But all of these discussions happen, in the book, in regards to, can we trust this species? Because we have no idea of their. No one's suggesting that they're trying to...
I don't even trust my own species.
Yeah, but the whole idea is it's no one's suggesting that they were trying to invade the Earth or anything like that, but the idea is that doesn't necessarily mean we can trust them. And it's a really interesting... I just think you'd find it fascinating. The other thing, too, is that even the whole idea of Stargate, how much does Stargate, I think, offer to this, owe itself to this book? Because the thing is, in the book, unlike, I can't say it because I'm going to give too much away.
Oh, don't give it away.
But I'll just say there is a lot of background story which is in Stargate, which I think has been lifted directly from this book.
Okay, that's interesting to know. Actually.
Right? That I think it's been lifted directly from the book.
Honestly, Stargate, the movie... again, saw when I was young and really enjoyed that a lot. And the whole ancient astronaut theory thing was very intriguing to me.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah. And then, I read some Graham Hancock's books, really interesting stuff. And then came along Ancient Aliens. And at first I was very intrigued by Giorgio Tsoukalos' hair. And now they just go too far. Okay,
but these areas are living
too much.
It's like Trump's. It's a living entity in itself.
Right. I loved it. It just went crazy for a while.
Yeah,
and then recently I've noticed he's kind of toned it down. He's grown. Yes, he's maturing, I believe. The show's still sometimes just too much, but I do still enjoy watching it. I'm going to be honest with you; it's one of my guilty pleasures. So, I
love guilty pleasures.
Ancient Alien thing is kind of interesting to me. So
I love it.
I'm not opposed to the idea of it.
Oh no, I think we've said before. I don't necessarily believe in ancient aliens, but I'm very much open to the idea that it's a possibility.
I think it's a possibility.
Sure. The one thing though I do agree is with people like oh my god, now I've forgotten his name. The man who literally took the stepping stone to the next level from Carl Sagan when they remade Cosmo. Tyson, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Oh, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Who I've heard a fantastic...
My pretend internet science boyfriend.
Well, yes. Well, I'm amazed to find that they actually knew each other. Tyson, as a young boy, actually met Sagan, and fascinating story. He said he was the most wonderful man. Bit of a womanizer, and even though he was a feminist, but just say. Just to say, Carl Sagan couldn't keep it. Carl Sagan, from what I understand, couldn't keep it in his pants. But apart from that,
I could Ben Franklin, and I don't hold that against him.
No. Because I think he had 3 wives, and But the thing is,
none of my business.
That's exactly right. Because he was a wonderful man, and I would suggest to anyone, if you've seen Cosmos with Neil deGrasse Tyson.
I do love it, yeah.
Watch the original show from the early 80s, late 70s with Carl Sagan. He has an amazing... his speech is hypnotic when he talks about... he was one of my heroes growing up, actually. I just... Carl Sagan, anyway. Yeah, anyway, so I was just saying, I really read it. If anyone has seen the movie and they liked the movie, you'll be blown away by this book. I was stunned at how different, and I've also stunned that all of the religious elements which are in the movie, they just don't exist in the book. They're not there. That was all put in for the movie. It is mentioned, the idea of religion and so forth, but it's mentioned in the sense that how do we explain it to them? It's not mentioned in the fact that there's no test to prove your religious faith in order to get onto the spaceship. It's not the movie, and also the boyfriend, in the movie that, who is the religious advisor to the president that she, falls in love with and all the rest. He doesn't exist. He's not even in the book. That's a total character made up for the movie.
Well, that's obvious that somebody in the studio or one of the producers demanded that aspect of it in order to make the movie.
Because it's in fact the the actual science advisor in the movie. I've forgotten the name of the actor now. He was in Top Gun and anyway. He is actually the man she has an affair with. It's not this religious guy. Yeah, it's quite very, 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 very different in the story. And also, all of that working out of the trying to find the primer and decoding the messages and everything like that. There is no blind friend who can magically hear this stuff and finds it. Stuff is found out by teams of scientists in 100 different countries working around the clock. It's not. But
you can't tell a story that way.
You're right. You can't do that. But you can't.
Not on screen.
I know that's fine in a book. You can't do that in a movie. I agree.
That's exactly right.
I agree.
It's the same thing I argue with people all the time. It's like, what you're writing here is a book. This is not a movie. It's not a TV series. People can't see what you're talking about.
Well, yes.
There's too much stuff going on, and nobody on screen is going to be able to see it. It doesn't happen. So it's just
was the other thing too is that she doesn't have this guardian who's this multi-billionaire who lives in an aeroplane and then goes into space and all this. I mean, it's like the Japanese site, like in the movie where they will end up actually meeting the mission from. That's not hidden. Everyone knows it's there. There are 3 sites. There's an American site, a Japanese site, and a Russian site, and they're all built in case one of the sites, in case what happens in America happens, like with the terrorist bombing. And so the idea is there are other sites to back it up in case something goes wrong. It's not a secret. It's not hidden, or anything like that. The world is very open. Even the Soviet Union, because it's based when the idea of the Soviet Union still existed. And the Soviet Union is actually working really closely with the United States on all of this. Anyway, I just wanted to say I was really moved by the book, and
that's really cool.
There were 2 books that I've read really in just the last couple of weeks, and I've never read 2 books that have actually kind of moved me quite so much as these 2, and I literally read them one after the other.
Well, I mean, I guess you're at a time when you're like looking for things to absorb. That's because, yes. Sometimes stuff just starts to hit with you. Because, I mean, I've even read books before that as I started to read them, they didn't really do anything for me, but there like came a time later when I picked it up again and read it, and it just fucking resonated. So, I mean, I sometimes I think is the time for reading, and other times maybe not. I read a book recently that was very interesting, and I actually ordered it from one of my Twitter followers. It's a book called Tetraminion, and it's not a very long book. It's a sci-fi book. It is a bizarro sci-fi book. I really enjoyed it. And by the author, R.A. Roth is the guy's name. And so I don't know if you guys like are into bizarro sci-fi, but some of the descriptive phrases in this book just killed me. I just loved them so much. So it kind of was on the line of, did you ever read Still Life with Woodpecker by Tom Robbins?
No, I haven't read it.
Oh my God. You have to read it. I mean, it is kind of along the same lines of this in the way that it's written. Okay. It reminds me of it. The two books kind of remind me of each other. They both are out there in the way they describe things, and the scenes, like the situations and the setting is even very strange, but it's just such an intriguing read, and neither of them are very long. So I do suggest both of them, actually. So if you're into bizarro sci-fi books, some people are. Yeah, I think, Still Life with Woodpecker is very topical from the 70s, so there's a lot of references. So if you're not maybe from that era, you might have to do a little bit of research to understand some of the jokes. But
right.
But the books themselves both, I just really enjoyed them. I really do like to read books from people that I follow. If I see that they have a book, oftentimes I will buy it and just give it a read, because I'm just really interested to see what the people that I follow or are following me are writing. So,
that's fantastic. I know that I read when I was at school because we had to read. When I left school, I kind of stopped reading for a very long period of time, actually.
Really?
I would read historical books, but I wouldn't read novels. So I
got away from that for a little bit too. Yeah.
For a very long time, actually, and it's only really recently that I've actually really re-embraced the novel, and COVID had so much to do with it.
Right.
So I'm kind of thankful for the fact that there was something good came out of COVID.
I mean, yeah, some people had babies too, but I don't know. It wasn't me, so thank God.
Did the birth rate actually go up?
I think initially, like right after the pandemic started and people were forced to stay home, from what I understand, at least here in Florida, we did have a pretty big influx of some new births right about 9 months afterwards.
Interesting.
So people were home and bored. It also happens like if there's a blackout.
Well, isn't there supposedly a story that and I don't know if this is true, but although I think they made a telling movie about this, in the 1970s, New York went through, as in New York City, went through a power outage that literally lasted 24 hours. And the whole city, like the entire, I don't really understand, but the island of New York.
The power grid went down.
Yeah. The whole thing went down. And quite literally, 9 months later, the birth rate went woohoo.
Yeah.
And it's all based on one day, literally one day of people having nothing to do.
Well, I mean, think about it too, though. If you look at the birth rates 9 months after New Year's Eve and 9 months after Valentine's Day, really? And 9 months after, say, like a massive hurricane goes through an area and their power is out for like 3 days, you will almost always find a big influx of births, because you know what? There's nothing else to do. So what are you going to do?
I find it amazing because it's like, well, birth control's still the same as whether the power was on or off.
Yeah, okay. Well, but they're not doing it that often to think about it, I guess. It was a spur of the moment thing. Sadly, a lot of people aren't getting it as much as they'd like to. That's just the way it is.
And I suddenly just realised I should probably shut up now because I don't want to start revealing shit from my past, which is awfully embarrassing.
No, because you know what happens when you do that, that I start doing that, and then, it just leads to...
No, we're talking
not
shit.
Do that.
We're talking stuff I'll tell you privately, but I would never say on here.
Well, that's the case anyway, vice versa. So, we've known each other a very long time. I can say things to you that I would never say on air. That's just the way it is.
Oh, yeah. No, you can ask me about it later. I'm not fucking saying it. I don't even know why I brought it up. Anyway, all right. So... But it did.
Duly noted.
But it is interesting. I mean, because obviously 2 years ago I decided I would actually read all the James Bond novels. Because we've talked about this before, so I don't need to harp on about it. But because I'd read all the Sagan novels, obviously, but I thought, maybe I should actually read all the Bond, because there's not actually a great similarity between them, but everyone seems to think there's a great similarity between the Saint and Bond, so even though it's very, very different. So I did read them, and what I did find was that I really did enjoy reading the books much more than watching the films. However, in saying that, some of the Daniel Craig movies, they are just. I'm not talking about being Bond. Just forget Bond for the moment. They are amazing action adventures. Is really what I'm trying to say. But take Bond out of it. Just make him.
No, I don't want to because.
Yeah, I know.
Daniel Craig is Bond. You know how I feel. I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
I know. We're still. It's still Pierce Brosnan for me. I'm sorry. I will stand by that.
He will never be anybody but Remington Steele to me. I'm sorry. I know.
The
way it's always going to be, Warren.
Yeah. Although, actually, I really
I prefer him as Remington Steele.
Okay. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. But I mean, it
wouldn't matter if there was.
No. but I have to admit, I still have a real soft spot for Timothy Dalton as Bond. I think was actually a really good Bond, and I think the stunts for the movies, considering when they were made, was late 80s, I think were absolutely amazing. And the other thing too was that he was kind of like, until Craig came along, he was the closest to Ian Fleming's imagining of who Bond was.
Right.
He was a government assassin and sometimes investigator who liked the finer things in life, and
especially the women.
Although he's not. Well, the interesting thing is, in the books, he's nowhere near that. He's not the womanizer. That's the movies that brought that along. I mean, yes, there is always a female character, or even a couple of female characters in the books, but it's not like the movies. It's nothing like the movies.
It's not a forced romantic, interlude just because you think you have to have that in a movie. I hate that.
I mean, in Moonraker, in Moonraker, the book, he actually, once it's all over and the bad guy's dead and the rocket's been destroyed and England is saved, and he asks the special branch officer who's a woman that he's working with undercover, and he actually asks her out to dinner, and she turns him down.
That would never happen in the movie.
Yeah, I know. The books are really different. Really fucking different. Yeah. Ignore
my terrible dialect there. I don't know what I was doing.
Yeah, but then again, Daniel Craig is not a womanizer. If you look at his movies, I mean, yes, no. He will have sets with various different women. But,
he has.
But he's not. But it's nothing like it was in the Sean Connery or the Roger Moore days. It's nothing like that at all.
And he's obviously not slapping him around the way Sean Connery did. I'm sorry, that was rude of me.
Well, it's true though.
I'm sorry.
Holy crap! Although I hate to say this. Watch Roger Moore in The Man with the Golden Gun. He physically was it Maud Adams, who's meant to be the she's the girlfriend, or if you like, of Scaramanga. He slaps her. He really slaps her around, and then threatens to blow her brains out if he doesn't give him the information. Roger Moore in The Man with the Golden Gun. That's much more like the books, actually. He's, it's like anything brutal, absolutely brutal. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you. I'd
like to interject.
Yeah, but I know I don't know why I always seem to fall. I swear, every second podcast we do, somehow or other, I mention Bond. I don't know.
Well, I feel like there's a thing there, and I don't know what it is, but it's still wonderful, and I support you wholly in it, whatever it is.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's obviously a psychological problem I've got there somewhere,
I'm here for you, Warren. I am. I mean, I might be way, way across the other side of the globe, but I'm here for you when it comes to Bond, especially. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. But. But here's something else for you too.
Yeah.
Talking about television and movies and so forth. Now, and which of course is very close to home to you, because of your relatives. Because of course you are related to King Rollo of Normandy.
I am.
And we've spoken about the fact that the TV series Vikings of the 7-odd series or whatever it was. You have to watch.
Which I still haven't seen.
I still haven't watched. Okay. Well, Netflix.
I told you I was excited when I saw the previews. I thought it was going to be a documentary, and then I turned it on, and it was a scripted series, and I went, "Oh, this isn't what I wanted," and I turned it off. And I never turned it back on. But everybody tells me I should watch it, and I'm going to do it.
Well, we've now
on my list.
We've now moved further just to add even more viewing time to it because Netflix have released Vickings Valhalla. It is the next story. All right.
Okay.
It's set 100 years after Vikings. So Vikings basically finishes with Ivan the Boneless. And was it Ironside? So it finishes with the end of their kind of reigns, or and whatnot, and it moves 100 years, jumps 100 years into the future.
Okay,
and we're now looking at Leif Erikson. The very famous Viking Leif Erikson. So we're starting obviously the story. This will probably go on, I would imagine, for 3 or 4 seasons.
Yes, hopefully.
So it's my argument is don't start something like Vikings unless you're going to finish it, because you can't leave this story halfway. You've got to finish the story. So
that's the way I felt about Game of Thrones too, and here we are.
I know. So
I'm still bitter. I'm sorry.
So anyway, I've started watching Vickings Valhalla, and it's not quite as good as Vikings. I don't think it's got quite as much money thrown behind it, to be honest.
Possibly.
I think it's
with it being a second series, and Netflix doesn't necessarily put as much money into something that's established as they would into something new. So
it definitely, there are no actors in it that I recognise, where I did in Vikings.
Okay.
Mind you, the star...
I actually sometimes prefer that, because I think sometimes when you see somebody you recognize in a role, it takes you out of the setting and out of the story, because you're like, hey, there's Tom Hanks, you know? Yeah, so sometimes I prefer completely unknown actors in a role like that, in any of those roles.
And the other thing too that I like I like about it is the same as Vikings in the sense that it's kind of very much in that HBO format.
Yeah.
But they consciously decided they were not going to do the nudity sets thing. And I actually think, I mean, even though I kind of like the nudity sets thing, I'll be brutally honest.
Well, I mean,
but I still remember talking.
You don't have to have it to move a story forward.
Well, I still remember talking to Alana Evans, who's an American porn star, and I remember talking to her, and she actually made the comment. She goes, "You almost don't need porn anymore. You can just turn on HBO." and she's kind of right, you know.
Well, not
but
really,
no, it's kind of
only
like
if you've never seen porn. Okay?
It was, I know, but it was kind of like half joking, half, you know. And
you're right.
but,
so am I. It's okay.
And
I feel like you'd know that by now. I don't know.
But the reason why I really like that there isn't the nudity in the sets in it is that it's not distracting from the story. It's not taking away. Do you know what I mean? It's keeping people focused on the direction of the story rather than
the distraction of just having flesh on screen to be outrageous. Because I have no problem with sex scenes. Don't get me wrong, but I don't like stuff shoved into a story simply to show flesh because you want a little zhuzh on camera. Yeah, so I tell the story without it if it doesn't need it. You know, don't put it in there if it doesn't need it.
Well, it's a bit like there was, it's very good television, and I'm not having to go at it, but there was, it's about 8 seasons long, and then there was even a New Zealand spin-off from Australia called Underbelly. And it followed, like each one was like a 12-season show, ran each year, but it followed a very serious real crime drama that happened in Australia. And it would run for like 12 episodes, finish, and then the following year, so the first one was what was called the Gangland Killings, which ran from 1990 through to about 2000, where something like 100 different criminals all blew each other's brains out over a 10-year period. It was like this gang war that was going on. And it followed all of that. The next one then went back to Sydney in the 1970s to follow the original Mr. Big, the Mr. Asia, who controlled the entire Asian drug, distribution for all of Asia.
Okay.
And it did that. Then they did another one which was set in the late 70s on called the Golden Mile, which anyone who's visited Sydney will know what the Golden Mile is. It's a mile of, well, it's cleaned up now, but it used to be a mile of drug dens and strip shows and prostitute houses and all. It's not anymore. Now it's basically nightclubs. Oh, it's still not strip shows, but, they're all legitimate.
So it's Vegas, basically, now.
Well, kind of, yeah, it is, actually, yeah. And there were various, and then they did one, went back to the 1920s and actually dealt with gangland. But the thing was that all the characters in it were real people.
Yeah.
But a lot of the complaints about it was strewn and filled with nudity and set scenes. Now, some people have actually made the comment, well, it was Australian TV, what do you fucking expect? Everything in Australian TV is filled with set scenes and nudity, right? But in a sense, there was one argument was that by doing it, it made crime seem sexy. And that was actually maybe not a wise thing to do.
There's always somebody that's going to say stuff like that. I mean, if you show a serial killer in a weird positive light, like you make them seem charming somehow on screen, somebody is always going to complain that you're just encouraging other, serial killers. So somebody's always going to complain about it. But I agree with what you're saying, though. You don't necessarily have to have it to tell the story.
However, in saying that, I prefer the show with the sets and the nudity because it's
well,
really
don't
cool.
We all? I think honestly,
it's really cool. It's really fucking cool. But I just like it to
be integral to the part. Okay.
Yeah, I know. But
that's all I care about.
I do remember there was some comments that there was a lot of nudity in the very first one. It was all the nudity. But then there was one episode, it was like the second last one, where this guy goes to get a massage. And it has to be argued, it had nothing to do with the plot whatsoever, except for the fact that you had a naked man and woman. There was no other fucking reason.
Look, was there a happy ending? Because otherwise the whole thing was wasted. All right, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Then it's not porn.
There was a happy ending. There was a happy ending. Yeah. Well, it was
completely inappropriate.
It was kind of insinuated because the actor involved is a really famous Australian actor. So
I see.
Yeah. So I don't think it was literally a happy ending, but
But at least maybe you just like to think it was a happy ending, and that's good for you. That's fine.
Oh yeah,
if you need to believe it was a happy ending, Warren, that's okay.
Fuck me. But I suppose there is that argument, though, isn't it? That if you do believe something is real, that they're making good TV. But I don't know if you necessarily have to believe whether it really was or wasn't a happy ending.
Oh my God. I have to tell you a story.
Oh yeah.
It's a story about a movie I worked on, and it's not a happy ending story per se. But it's like whether they're really doing it or not on the screen. Okay, so no, it was so weird. I worked on this movie, Walking Dead. Okay, The Walking Dead, not the TV series, but it was way back, like in the early '90s. It was about the Black experience in Vietnam. It had Eddie Griffith in it, and it had Vontae Sweet. I'm sorry, and Joe Morton. And Bernie Mac, and just like a bunch of people, okay? And it was like one of the first, and one of the guys from Jason's Lyric, that was the movie, I can't remember his name now. Anyway, it was a movie that they did here, and one of the scenes, there was, a preacher from a church, and there was a scene where he came home early and caught his wife having sex with somebody in the house. And I think he got sent to Vietnam at the time in the story. I can't remember totally now, but I think he got sent to Vietnam because maybe he shot the guy or something. I can't remember. Mm-hmm. But the guy that was supposed to play the lover of the wife, and they were supposed to have this sex scene in this bedroom, and he comes in, and this is Joe Morton's character. And the guy who was supposed to play that role was a friend of the director's. Okay, and when it came time to shoot the scene, he didn't want to do it. And so we're on set, and everybody's there, and this girl is there, and she's standing there naked. And let's be honest, so it was a closed set, so very few people were going to be on the set, but she was there ready to shoot. And this guy right at the last minute said, we're not going to do it. And we had cast the extras on this show, and we had cast local casting. So the guy who played Pippin, the white guy who goes crazy in it, we booked him, and we booked all the extras, and we booked the drill sergeant and just people like that. So we had a lot of people on set that day, and because there was a huge church scene we were doing, and we also had some of the soldiers on set, and when the guy just backed out.
Oh, I think yes, we've got a slight technical problem there. Maybe we've been censored. We'll be right back. And we're back. Sorry about that slight technical difficulty. But you were saying, Irish.
Across the ocean, it does happen from time to time. I was saying that the guy that the director had, it was a friend of his that had been slated to play this role of the lover in this sex scene, said at that moment, nope, I don't think I'm going to do it. And he stepped out. And so because we had a bunch of extras on set, we went to the extras and we said, hey, anybody want to do a sex scene? You're gonna get more money, and we told them what's going to happen. And actually, one of the guys actually stepped forward, which I was shocked about. And the weirdest thing is that they had to they did this scene where it was like, okay, and here I am, a little graphic. Okay, he was behind her. It was like doggy style thing. Mm-hmm. But they had to take this man's junk, and they had a sock, literally.
Oh, yeah, the sock, yeah.
A sock. Yeah. Okay. And the wardrobe people and hair makeup people sewed the sock into his pubic hair.
Yeah.
So that they could do this whole entire scene. And they ended up doing it. To be honest with you, I was shocked that this guy went along to do it, but I thought he actually stepped up and saved the production that day to go up and do this sex scene, which to me, I guess it was, like thinking about it, it was integral to the plot because it was how this preacher ended up being sent to Vietnam, and basically, so it was necessary to have it, I guess, because you couldn't just do the exposition. Like, you couldn't just talk about it, I guess, and make it work. You had to actually have him come home and witness it. But I was still so shocked at, like, the whole concept, because it was the only sex scene I've ever worked on in my entire life, to be honest with you.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was a really weird experience. And to be honest with you, I don't know how any actor does it. Because there's a bunch of people like standing around. There's like grips and electrics. And even if it's a closed set, only the people that need to be there to shoot it are there. But kind of so many people need to be there to shoot it. I don't know. I just feel like it's such a weird thing to do.
I've spoken to some people. And I don't want to.
Well, I know because you've talked to people who worked in that industry.
Yeah,
where it wasn't just on camera.
I know people and have also spoken to people who are both as in the, let's just say, the actual proper adult industry. But
and I don't have any issues. Please, people don't think I have any issues with that. I don't at all. Believe me.
Oh no!
You know me. You know why. I don't.
But also people who have done the, shall we say, the adult movie, which is not the hardcore movie, it's the softcore movie.
Right, it's the softcore, yeah.
So I know people who have done both, and
so do I.
It is and it is interesting because it is so different. And the other thing too is that the people with the exception of the fact that I don't want to bore people too much with.
You're talking about porn. How are you boring people?
Okay. But
stop doing that.
In the soft, especially in what a lot of people call the skin max. Cinemax, Cinemax and so forth. But the thing was that through the 80s and into the 90s, there was this thing that a lot of people would refer to as erotic mystery. The idea that these were real movies with actual plots and stories, and they were filmed and actually just now it was all simulated, okay, obviously, but and it was all designed basically for the home rental VHS market. Right, okay. No, and but then you had full-on hardcore porn, and they were quite different. Now, the actors who are in them are quite different, although every now and again you'd have crossovers. I'm not arguing that, because it does happen. But after the millennium, everything kind of changed. We started to move to an online. Even 20 years ago, we started to move online.
Right,
and it all changed. And these movies were now... They weren't desired. Like, no one had a real interest in them anymore. But what happened was the industry sort of kept going, but they became what was then kind of often referred to as the erotic comedy. So they were kind of like, I don't know, like Carry-On films, but full of nudity and simulated and simulated sex, and they became very, very different. If you look at the movies from the 90s, it's
Porky's and from the 80s.
Oh no! I do, but they're quite different. They're actually cinema released. I mean,
I know
they're quite different movies. But Porky's, fuck me. Oh.
I don't know why that just popped in my head when you said I had to.
That is such a bad. Oh, it's such a bad.
Oh, they were so bad. But also,
but all of them, there's
kids,
like it was
like,
but there were so many of them. Yeah, it's like
there's titties out there.
I know, Hamburger Academy, and and it's oh my God, there were so many. And the thing was, they were always such disappointments because the movies were an hour and a half long. They were quite professionally made, actually, especially if you compare them to a lot of cheap cinema today. And but you were lucky if you got one man's bottom and two sets of boobs that combined about a whole 20 seconds through the whole movie.
Cared about his bottom.
No, yeah.
Nobody cared about the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's but the thing was that, that would
unless it was a girl's bottom, and that was fine.
Yes.
Like nobody cared about seeing the men's anything. At least now, once in a while, you get a shot of something. It's not that I want to see it, okay? Because nobody wants to see it unless they're looking to see it, okay? I don't like to be surprised with some guy's thing in my face on screen. It's not my favorite thing, all right? And I say thing like I'm a 13-year-old girl. Let me tell you something.
Like, I can see it.
Well, sometimes you're watching something and somebody comes around a corner and there it is. And you're just like, whoa, hey, whoa. And I feel like I would have that exact same response in person if I wasn't expecting it. Now, I feel like if I was expecting it, it would be different. Okay? But don't surprise me with flaccid dicks on TV. Don't do that.
But this is
don't surprise me with that around a corner.
But see,
I am not.
Oh, sorry.
I don't want to see some guy's dick around the corner. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just I wasn't looking for it. I wasn't expecting it. No woman wants to see it unexpectedly. I'm gonna promise you. So I wish they'd stop doing that in TV shows. I know they're trying to be have equality, but no woman wants to see that unless we ask to see it. I just promise.
I think the other problem with it all too is that the idea that if people do want to see it, they want to see it at the next point, like the next level of right.
Exactly.
But the problem is that will not pass censorship. I know that's the thing.
So here's the solution: stop doing it.
I know
it's not. You're not doing it for equal TV. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. As a woman, I like to look at good-looking people on screen. I want to look at naked bodies. That's fine. I want to look at attractive men and women on screen. I don't want to see unnecessarily things just shoved in my face. I don't need to do that.
No, I agree.
To enjoy a show.
Yeah.
I get why Game of Thrones was shocking and cool in the beginning, especially because they did that a lot in the beginning. Okay, I get it. It was shocking. That's why it was fun. And then you just go, okay, enough. All right, and I am not a prude. I mean, I think I people who know me know this about me. I am not a prude in any way. I don't want to be surprised with it. I don't.
Well,
I'll be honest with you, and maybe I'm a sexist, but unless it's titties or something, I just I don't want to see. Yeah, I'll leave it alone now.
But isn't there also that line of Elaine in Seinfeld, where she says,
you guys walk around with those things.
Well, yes, but she also sort of says a woman's body is like a Ferrari, a man's body is like a Jeep. It's not, aesthetically, and it only kind of becomes aesthetic if you move to that next stage, and there's no way knowing that next stage will pass the censorship. So.
No, it's not going to. And honestly, I don't want that next stage from anybody, okay?
Yeah.
It's not just some random shit I want to see on TV. That's selective for me. And that's, that might be a problem for some people. But for me personally, again, just don't want it in my face when I'm not expecting it, okay?
Well, I mean, the only thing I will say is I remember watching Spartacus, the 4 seasons of Spartacus.
Oh my God, I love that show so much.
And I do have to admit, it was very cool seeing a lot of these Australian and New Zealand actors nude. To be honest with you, I kind of did like that.
I'm going to be honest with you. It wasn't stuck in my face, and I did like it. Okay?
Well, once again, I don't want to kind of name drop, but I still remember talking to Alana Evans, and I still remember she sort of said, "I've been watching Spartacus," and she goes, "I'm absolutely blown away that I get to every episode I get to see Lucy Lawless's amazing boobs."
I know,
and
We've discussed this before. Lucy Lawless, you either wanted to be her or do her as Xena.
Yeah,
That's just what it was.
Yeah,
and sometimes it was both. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Okay. I really enjoyed watching her in Spartacus as well. I'm just going to say, I'm a fan of Lucy Lawless. I'm a fan of Hudson Leak. I'm a fan of many of the people from the old Xena show. And then we'll just leave it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. But
we're going to move on.
We shall move on. But I will say, Vickings Valhalla, which is where we actually will start off with. It's definitely, if you're a fan of Vikings and you watched all the Vikings, definitely get onto Netflix and watch Vickings Valhalla. But here's the other thing too. Even if you haven't watched Vikings, you can still watch Vikings Valhalla. Like, you don't have to have seen all the rest of the stuff because it is 100 years in the future. These are not the current people are not the children of the people we just saw. They're the great-grandchildren of the people we just saw. So, do you know what I mean? So you have to remember that. It's moved on a lot. So, absolutely.
When they do that, to move forward in a show. I mean, honestly, even though it's technically a separate series, I mean, they're really just kind of moving the story forward a huge chunk. They basically lifted it up and dropped it down a couple hundred years, ahead. So I think that's kind of neat. I like it when they do that. Well, I don't like it when you go the other way. I don't want to do modern and then do a prequel. I don't like that.
Prequels drive me nuts. I know.
I hate them so much.
Look, there is sometimes when a prequel works, and I'll give you an example of that, in my opinion.
Well, Rogue One.
Okay. Well, yeah, Rogue One is a classic example. That I will admit that really worked. Also, if you're a fan of John Carpenter's The Thing, because I know there was an original in the 50s, but John Carpenter's version of The Thing, The Thing from early 2000, which is the prequel to The Thing. A lot of people forget that who haven't watched it. They go, ugh. It's the prequel. They just should have given it a slightly different name. But anyway, it's really good because that movie literally ends with the opening scene of John Carpenter's movie. So you can actually watch them back to back. That actually works really, really well. And it answers also so many questions that were left unanswered.
That's the reason why I loved Rogue One.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, because for the first time, actually seeing A New Hope as a kid, like 6 years old, in the theater.
Yeah.
I saw it 47 times that summer.
Are you kidding me?
No.
40? Oh, wow.
47 times the summer it came out in the theater. Okay?
I saw it twice. That's amazing. Okay. And I thought that was a big deal.
It was ridiculous, actually. Yeah. It was my grandparents just kind of left me. Yeah. But I'm
that happens. Yeah.
It doesn't, whatever. But
I've been there before.
I loved it so much. And then what happened for me with Rogue One is not only was it really a standalone film on its own with a great story and great actors, and I felt like the whole thing was put well together. At the very end of it, in A New Hope, and I hope I'm not giving any spoilers at this point because you guys haven't seen this movie. Fuck you.
If someone hasn't seen A New Hope, right? If someone hasn't seen either Star Wars and New Hope or Rogue One by now, they're not gonna. I mean, One,
it's not my fault, but literally, if you haven't seen A New Hope, get a life. I just feel like. So I know I'm sorry. I didn't mean it that way, but I did.
No, seriously, get a life. Fuck.
What I really loved about it so much is that as a kid seeing in A New Hope, the moment where Vader came into the ship to try to, get the I don't know, was it microfilm? I don't know what they call it? The plans that they had.
Yeah, well, which is still on a computer disk, which is fucking unbelievable considering the technology. But anyway,
give them a break. Okay. The door was dead. The blast door was down.
Yeah,
but you couldn't see anything. But as a kid, I'm hearing all the pew pew pew, and you can hear everything on the other side. And then when Rogue One happened, and let me tell you, and I may have said this before. I hope I haven't, but if I have, it's kind of like your James Bond thing. Okay,
it's all right. We'll talk about it as much as you want. It's great.
I love it when you say that. Yeah. One of the things about it that really excited me so much is that for the first time at the end of Rogue One, and spoiler alert, I got to see what happened on the other side of that door. Yeah. And it was Darth Vader. Yep. And he was a badass, and a murderous badass, mind you, but he still was a badass. And here was part of what I loved about it so much. You know that thing on his chest with all the lights on it?
Yep.
Okay. That's his life support system. Okay. That goes with his whole helmet and everything that's keeping him alive from what happened to him. And again, spoiler alert, when he got burned.
lava people.
Lava.
A volcano.
Okay, so, yes. So he actually, when he came in, and there's this, and sorry to give it away. He comes in and
stop saying that. If they haven't seen Star Wars by now, I know, yeah.
No, it's okay, but I feel bad, but I don't. Okay, so it's pitch black, right? It's pitch black, and all of a sudden, you see the red lightsaber go like this.
Yeah.
Do you know what you didn't see? Any lights on his goddamn chest plate. Do you know that bitch turned off his own life support system to make that fucking entrance?
Oh.
Because if he had not, you would have seen the lights on his chest before you saw the lightsaber. So he literally turned off his own life support system to make a fucking entrance. And I'm sorry. After that, I will be Sith forever. I'm sorry. And the reason I say that too is because the Sith embrace their emotions and feed on them as opposed to suppressing them and suppressing love and relationships with people. So I'm sorry, in my opinion, sometimes the Jedis are not the good guys.
Well, actually, the Sith as in the dark, you're talking about as in the dark side, right?
I'm talking about what the Jedi call the dark side.
Okay, right. But in a sense, do you know something? I actually think it's very, very similar to Satanism.
Well,
now, anyone listening, this isn't devil worshipping. I'm talking
what you're
about.
Saying.
Yeah. It's very, very simple. It's the idea of the worshipping of oneself.
Well, because Satanists don't actually worship Satan.
No, they worship themselves. This is the thing. They worship themselves. Well, yeah.
Yeah. It's like a.
They are their own. They are their own god in a sense. You know.
Yes.
Yes. But
it's more of like the embracing of reason and knowledge, which was what they're looking at Lucifer as being the ideal of, and God rejecting that and telling us we couldn't have it. That's kind of what they're saying. They're not worshiping the devil.
No,
it's not like they're.
No, it's
a joke. Like
it's often been. No, it's often sometimes.
It is, but it's not.
The satanic religion has often been described as one of the worst marketing campaigns in human history.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes.
Right, because their whole idea is it's anti-Christ. That doesn't mean the Antichrist. It means anti-Christ. It's not the same thing, right? And their whole idea is that they reject religious values which they view in the sense that Christ is that pinnacle of what represents religious values. It's not it's not the worship of the devil, it's the worship of oneself and the rejection of
reason.
Now, my problem with Satanism is because
they make themselves look really stupid.
Well,
okay. I'm sorry.
First of all, their religious ceremonies seriously, if you don't want to make people think you're eating babies, you're fucking really making it look like you're eating babies. You know what I mean?
I know that they're doing it satirically, but it's also really.
I know it's meant to be a piss take, and I get it. But the other thing too, very sexist religion. There's a lot of sexism inbuilt into Satanism, which is something that I have a problem with.
That it's probably because it's really filled with a whole bunch of white guys. I'm sorry.
Well, it was created by a white guy. I mean,
I know, and it's filled with a bunch of white guys.
Yeah.
Okay? Look, I'm going to be honest with you. White people are a problem, and we need to be stopped. Okay? I'm just it just needs to happen.
So you've got...
I'm sorry.
So you've got that, and then you have the whole problem that because you worship yourself, Satanists have no concept of self-sacrifice. So the idea of a true Satanist would watch their child die rather than put their own life at risk to save them.
No. I'm going to push back on you on that.
Or am I totally wrong?
No, you are fucked up as hell.
Okay, sorry.
And I want you to not ever say the shit like that to me again. I'm not defending Satanists, but let's not say things that are completely off the fucking wall.
No, sorry. Okay? I thought that was true. That
absolutely
they weren't allowed
not.
To. Oh, okay, all right. No, I'm wrong. Okay, I'm wrong. That's okay. I thought they weren't allowed to put themselves in harm's way. That was my understanding.
I don't know where you ever got that. I don't know.
Okay, all right. Sorry. Okay.
No, absolutely not.
Right.
No. I don't even know what to say. I'm not defending Satanists because I don't believe in any of that nonsense. Okay. I am, again, we talked about this before, and I am not anti-God. I'm not an atheist, but I'm also not a theist. Yeah. It's not that I dismiss the idea of something bigger than us that might have created us, but I don't believe, if that's the case, I think it's more of a non-interventioning creator. I think it's something that happened like Johnny Appleseed in a sense, spewing seeds, and we just happened to come about from that. I don't think it's like they were thinking about it.
You've got to read content. Oh my God, you've got to read content. Yeah, okay. Sorry, keep going. Sorry.
I'm a deist in that aspect, but I also am more like a secular humanist, I think. Yeah. But I don't know. I don't believe, I came from many, many generations of priests. And as I say priests, I mean grifters, okay? It's not that I think that some of them weren't actually believing the things that they were saying and doing. I just think it's bullshit at this point. That you should be raising money from making people afraid they're going to go to burn in for eternity in a place where I don't know, somebody made up to scare people. So, my joke to me was always and this really got me in trouble in Bible school. Let me tell you, because I had to go every year because my grandfather, like we said, was a priest. My grandmother ran the Bible school, and I got in trouble for suggesting that, I don't know, there's so many wars and so much stuff that's fought over the concept of the Bible and religion itself that it seemed to me that it wasn't God that wrote the Bible, that it would have been Satan if anybody had done it. And I got in a lot of trouble for that. I'm if Satan is real, then wouldn't he be the one that would have written this thing that caused so many wars and people to kill each other over it? And I got in trouble.
Well,
so
there's a great meme. There's a great meme which often flies around the internet, which says, "If bad people are sent to Satan to be punished for eternity, doesn't that make Satan a good guy?"
Well, I mean, here's the thing: if Satan was a fallen angel, okay, and God is omnipotent, then why couldn't he just say to just put a stop to the devil? If he is something, but if the devil is something beneath God, then why does God allow the devil to exist? Unless it's to torment our souls, for what reason? Seems to me that if God exists in that sense, he's a goddamn psychopath.
Well, this is the thing that I've always found funny. The whole idea is a fallen angel because he literally tried to do a January 6th insurrection.
He was trying to give us basically
he tried to overtake, right?
Yeah.
So he was a Trump terrorist in that sense.
Yeah.
In God's
so he threw him down to hell, right?
So he threw him down. Now, but the whole idea that,
then why does he allow him to exist?
But God can control time. He could have just said, right.
Either God is omnipotent, or he's all good, or he's not. Like you can't have it both ways. If he could stop Satan, then he would. If he's omnipotent, he could stop Satan, right? If you're saying that this is what he is, and if he's all good, the way people are saying, he would, stop him too. Well, it doesn't make any fucking sense. None of the story makes any sense.
Well, this is why, and I'm sorry, Jews.
And I'm going to piss some people off.
I'm going to say I'm sorry, Jews, Christians, and Muslims, because you all believe in what we.
I'm sorry, any organized religion.
No. But what I was going to say is that because I was talking about the Old Testament, and Jews, Muslims, and Christians all believe in the Old Testament, so.
American Christians. They only believe in the New Testament.
Yeah, well, they're just weird, so I'm not even going to go down that path. But the idea, what do they say? The religions of Abraham, okay, which is, there are three. Now, with all their subgroups and categories and whatnot. Now, but where am I even going with this? I don't even know.
I don't know. I stressed you out because
But my whole thing is that, well, first of all, I could probably discuss and talk for hours. This doesn't make sense. This doesn't make, and all the rest of it. And I think all of us could do that. But my biggest argument about all of it is that let's look at this story realistically. There was one group of people who were told that you were going to have a piece of land that would be yours, the rest of the world could do whatever the fuck it wanted, and that's it. And all of us are now, well, not all of us, but so many are basing ourselves around this story about what happened to this tiny group of people. As we said, we're going to get ourselves in so much trouble here, but it's my attitude about all of it is I don't believe in any of it. But even Christ, as in the New Testament, we've said this, we've talked about this before. I believe that Christ is a conglomerate of a number of different people. I don't think there was a person called Jesus Christ. I think Jesus Christ is probably a collection of 100 different people with all of their different things that happened all thrown into one. And that's probably it. Otherwise, I'll just piss too many people off. And we've lost Irish, so I was just giving an anti-religious speech to myself.
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're back? Are you back? Or?
I did. I put myself on mute because I was eating celery, and then I forgot.
So sorry. That's all right.
I didn't want to crunch in people's ears.
No.
No,
so,
you know what? Yeah. No, I want to say I'm going to piss some people off too, because I actually have to say I also have issues with the other side of my family's belief system. Right. Which I've noticed recently. And I've grown up in, one side of my family was, Episcopalian Christian, and the other side were spiritualist reincarnationists and Buddhist, combination. They don't even know what they are. They're like everything that organized religion isn't, I guess. Okay. So basically anything within that scope fits into their belief system, apparently. And recently, and not that recently, in the last couple of years, I have started to find myself rebelling against any of the concepts of the stuff that they have been putting out to me. Not necessarily the concept of reincarnation, because you and I have talked about that, and I believe nature is cyclical. I don't see how physics, energy never dissipates and never is destroyed. It just changes forms. We are energy. Our bodies are run on it. I just don't see how we can disappear. So I'm not going to argue that point, but the rest of the stuff that they have really kind of embraced, and my whole life it's been like this. They have gone to psychic fairs and all these constant constant psychic readings. And again, please let me emphasize, it's not that I don't think that some people have these abilities, because I've seen it in action. I do know that there's been a couple of people in my life that have given readings to myself and other people with me in the room that I know for sure were fucking spot on and were very, very specific. They were not random. I think you have an M name in your family. Like, who has an M name? Like that shit to me is what really upsets me. And it has upset them recently.
Yeah, that's
the
carny trick. That's the problem. That's the carny trick.
Well, that's the thing, is that the majority of people who are doing that do not have any kind of gift, except for the fact that they've learned to grift people. And the reason I know this for a fact, okay, is not only because I've had a friend who was a mentalist who taught me the tricks of it, okay, and I know how they do it, but also when my when my mother lived at a different place, and near her was a spiritualist church, they called it, okay? She would go, and they would be giving readings to people, and they would do these things, and there were always so many fucking desperate people at this place, and I was so overwhelmed with the desperation of the people. But at one point, one of the women said to my mother, because they said, you should come and go to these classes to give readings. And she said, well, I don't think I'm such and such. And she said, oh, no, we can teach you to do it. And look, I know people are going to push back and say, oh, no, they meant they could teach her to open her mind. Like, bullshit.
Yeah.
I already know for a fact, based on the stuff that my mentalist friend has told me, that it's a game for a lot of people, not everybody, okay? And I'm going to be honest with you. I do believe some people have this gift. What I am not interested in is going to 16 psychic fairs a year and paying people $60 a piece to tell me that I used to be a blue person on another planet, okay? I just like that kind of thing. And they told like 2 people in my family the same thing 2 other times when they were there. I don't want to hear that shit from people, and I don't want to spend my money on it. And it upsets people because that's their belief system. And I don't care about anybody else's belief system. I'm not trying to insult anybody ever. I don't want to participate in your belief system. It's not mine.
Can I tell you a story about? I actually went to see a psychic once. I actually did it.
I don't have any problem with that. But yeah.
And it was a time when I was feeling very vulnerable, very alone, very.
I think people's
something had happened in my life. I think you know what I'm talking about.
I do know what you're talking about.
And this was someone who I knew actually. Like I knew them. This was not a stranger. Okay, they were a friend, and they said, I'm not even going to say the sets because I don't want anyone to start looking at my social media and try to work out who it would be. And anyway, so did this reading and all the rest of it, and I realised that it was either fake or that this person believed it was real.
Well,
but they were, in a sense, they were conning themselves. If this makes sort of sense, and I don't know which of the two it was. And the reason why I know it was one of the two is because you know how sometimes you make somebody sound better than they really are. Okay, especially if someone's dead, right? You don't want to. Okay. And there were things, and there were things that were being put back to me, where I'm going in my mind, going, no fucking way. That's no. Yeah. There's just no. That is not the person that I knew. But it is the person I have described to you.
Yeah.
And I was really disappointed, really fucking disappointed.
You know? I don't think most people, honestly, I don't think most people are intentionally doing it to mislead you. I do think a lot of people who do that feel like they are right on point. I don't usually get because believe me, I have had a lot of readings because I come from a family on one side, like I said, that really enjoys doing that. The last few times that I have gone places to do that, like with them, I sat on a porch and didn't do it. And they're like, aren't you going to get a reading? I was like, I have zero interest in doing this. And it's, again, not because I don't think some people have the ability. Like you said, you don't know that your friend meant to deceive you. Maybe
they
really just thought the things that were. See, my problem is when you hear voices in your head.
Like, oh no, I think it was. I think they were quite literally
in my head too.
Yeah, I think they were hearing in their head what they wanted to hear and telling me that, but their own mind had created.
They felt like they were hearing it from something else. They were being told something.
Yeah, I don't think they were lying at all, but they truly believed it. But it was still fake, even though they believed it. You know what I mean? It was like, if that made sense, it was fake, but it was real.
It does.
It was real, but it was fake.
I really do want to say something though here. Like, I really want people to understand that I don't think that everybody that claims to have these abilities is lying or is even wrong.
Oh, no, that's not what I'm saying. No.
I just for me personally, I want people to understand I am not at all against the concept or unaware of the concept that some people have the ability to understand or know things outside of the realm of where they could possibly know them. It's not something that would be given away by, somebody wearing a ring or having cat scratches on their arms or just like weird different things that you would find and notice about somebody to make a comment about and ask them to lead them into an answer. They were very, very, very specific things. And one of the things is somebody that did a reading for my mother that was based on her astrological chart. And I know a lot of people want to dismiss horoscopes, and I get it because the stuff you guys see in the newspaper, it's like it's a sun sign and it's 2 sentences and it's based on the most broad generic crap. Okay, it's such garbage. And part of me still doesn't want to believe in astrology, but I'm going to be honest with you. The universe runs on math, okay? And there's something about the math, about the depth of actual astrology that I've learned about, not just for myself, but I've known other people and people in my family from generations back that have dealt with this. And it's literally not about the occult side of it at all. It's the weirdest thing. They did it for the math part of it, which was weird to me. But my great grandmother was the astrologer for the National Church of England. No, I say it's the National Episcopal Church here.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was the Church of England, basically, but it was the national. Yeah. I'm sorry, it was the church, the National Cathedral in Washington.
Right, okay,
You know what?
Anglican.
I had another glass of wine, and I shouldn't have.
I think the international term is Anglican. It covers.
I think maybe so. She was. I meant specifically for the National Cathedral in D.C. Okay, here in Washington D.C. So that's the big one where, like, when we have people die, they presidents and stuff, they usually get put at the National Cathedral. So she was the official astrologer for the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. For her, it was all about the math. But that's not the person I want to tell you about. I want to tell you about a guy named Carl Helm. He was an astrologer who lived in St. Pete, Florida. And he was actually a friend of my grandmother's. But he had been the astrologer for the Farmer's Almanac. Do you know the Farmer's Almanac? You probably don't have that there.
No. Okay. Sorry, no.
We had this thing called the Farmer's Almanac here, and we've had it since the early 1800s, I think, at least. But they have predictions for weather and stuff like that for the whole year, like things that are coming up. Now, one of the ways they use that, and I know it's very strange, but you can look it up. It's kind of neat if you look up the Farmer's Almanac for the U.S. and see the history of it. So Carl Helm was the astrologer for the Farmer's Almanac, which I know was very strange. But he was a friend of my grandmother's, and my mom wanted a reading based on her astrological chart. Now, to do the whole chart, you can't just have your birthday, okay? You have to know your birthday, where you were born, and the exact time that you were born, because it's all based on where every planet was aligned when you were born. Okay, not just our planets like the ones we know about, but even like weird things, other types of celestial bodies. Okay, it's a weird science, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't understand it. I'm also not a math girl, but there's things that I do know for sure. My mother, when I was 6 years old, and she was 23, and I have mentioned this a couple times. Maybe she was run over by a semi truck. When she was walking across the street in downtown Minneapolis in the middle of winter. The truck came around a corner. It didn't see her because it was the middle of winter with snow. She was wearing a white coat. It literally ran over her. Okay, so she was lucky to survive. But in doing so, part of the thing that happened to her is that a year later, she had to have a surgery after she had gotten out of the hospital for all that, a surgery to fuse two of her spinal columns, two of her vertebrae, together, because she was having some problems walking and having pain in her back. So they thought, we're going to fuse these two vertebrae, and when we do it, we have to put you in a body cast for 6 months. Okay? It was a mess. So she went through the whole thing, and honestly, in the end, it didn't even take. The vertebrae didn't fuse. So she ended up still having some issues, but she plays tennis now and everything, so don't be worried. But the thing that happened from that operation is that she had this massive scar on her back, on her lower back, that looks like a half moon. It's like a crescent moon, okay, from something they did during that operation. And she also has this weird scar on her knee and her ankle that's like a rub scar from when she got run over. It was like where she got pressed into the pavement. So when Carl did my mother's chart, and he did it as a favor for my grandmother, he called my mom up, and we lived in Minneapolis at the time. And he had done the whole thing, and he said, look, I've done your chart. And he goes, I'm calling you up because I want to verify a couple of things so that I know my math is correct. And she said, okay. And he says, do you have a half moon shaped scar on your lower left hand back? And he said, she was like, yes. He goes, okay. He goes, do you have a small scar on the right hand side of your right knee? Well, yeah. And he went through these scars that she had, and he was able to pinpoint every single one of them, okay, that he went through. And when he got done, he was like, okay, he goes, I'm going to make a couple of adjustments. He goes, I'm going to call you back. So he called her back, and he told her some crazy stuff. He told her that she would be married twice in her life, okay? And mom, she was young and newly kind of married, okay? It had been just a few years since they got married, and my parents. And he told her she would be married twice, and her second husband would be a producer who would have 2 boys. And you know what happened? Is that years later, he and my mom and my dad got divorced. And she married a music producer who had 2 boys. And all of the scars that he looked at on her body and other things he told her absolutely came true. And that wasn't the first time that somebody that had gotten the math right for the astrology had actually gotten very, very specific things right for her life. Things that you couldn't have necessarily known or been very generic about. So I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not sure about astrology when it comes down to the real depth of the math involved in it. And I'm not going to say I can understand it, But it wasn't the first time that very, very specific things had come true. And I know for sure my grandmother had never told this man anything about my mother. So I don't know how it could have happened. So I'm not going to say I don't believe in any of that stuff being true, because there are things that I've had experience with in my life that I can't look at, and as cynical as I am, pick it apart enough to understand it. So I'm going to say maybe some of this other stuff is something, I don't know. But I do believe probably, and I might be stupid, or drunk, which is probably both. I don't know. But it's probably that I'm not going to dismiss it at this point. Some of the shit I'm going to straight up dismiss.
Well, it's a bit like, you know how my whole attitude about ghosts and aliens has changed dramatically since I met you.
Because I'm so charming.
Actually, that's not quite true.
My arguments are so compelling.
Well, since I met you, that's actually not true. What I'm saying is, since we started talking,
that's why I was joking.
I tell you, it's changing the subject a little bit, but it's a bit of a funny story.
Change it up. No, change it, please, because I'm embarrassed.
I can still remember when I was young, and this is all kind of just at the end of the army time and all this sort of stuff. And I was friends with a group of people who I kind of cut contact with very, very quickly, actually, and then made a brand new group of friends. And it's not because they were bad people or anything like that. My whole concept of life changed. And anyway, so I was with these people, and we were very heavily into things like water sports. I'm talking about jet skis and stuff. I'm not talking.
Yeah.
And
oh God.
Sorry. I've had 2 liters of beer. I've had 2 liters of beer and a couple of scotches. All right, so right. So, but we're very heavily into that, and also what you call 4x4, we call 4-wheel drive, that sort of thing. And we used to go, and we used to go around this state forest, which is it's like a forest, but it's owned by the government, sort of thing.
A national park, basically.
Well, not a national park, because this is pre the gun laws, so you're allowed to shoot in them. You could, go shooting and all this sort of stuff, right? But it was owned by the government, all right? So it wasn't a national park, but it was just land owned by the government to try to protect it, but not kind of protect it, if this makes sense. And anyway, so very popular with people who wanted to go shooting, hunting, 4-wheel drivers, all of these sorts of people. Oh, pardon me, I burped twice. Sorry.
Oh my God.
Sorry. I saw that beer. I said it's literally been 2 liters of Pilsner. But anyway.
Laugh at
so I know. But anyway, and we were there, and there was, I don't know how many, 9 of us or something like that. And there were, I don't know, like 3 or 4, 4x4s. And we'd been driving around all night just on the CB radios. My God, this is how old this was. You're right. Okay, CB radios. This is all, but this is pre-mobile phones and everything. So CB radios, and it's guys and girls. It's a mixture. It's half and half. This right. And we're driving around and all the rest of it, and we see up on this hill this old house, which is. Was an old, what we call a station house. You'd call it a ranch, house, right? Farmer's house, right? And it's probably been abandoned for 100 years, right? And we go, let's go up and have a look. It's only about...
Now I'm excited.
Only about 300, it's only about 300 metres up off the road. Let's go and have a look. Now, I still remember we start going up, and this one guy sort of goes... And I still remember this guy. I don't want to mention his name. And he looks around and he goes, "Why are you carrying a rifle?" And he goes, "Oh, just in case." It's like, in case of fucking what? It's like, it's 3 a.m. This is 100. Yeah, I mean, it's like, what the fuck are you on, right? And he goes, okay, all right, just be fucking careful. And anyway, so we all of us start walking up, and I still remember, and there was this girl, I don't want to mention her name. And she actually goes, no. And she goes, I won't go unless I get a gun too. And it's like, what the fuck is this, Texas? What the hell are you guys on? You know, this is
what are you trying to say, Warren?
But they claimed later on that they felt that there was something there they needed to defend themselves from.
Well,
This is, and I'm not joking when I say this. And the whole point is, what are you going to do? Shoot a ghost? I mean, it's fucking stupid. But the whole point was, maybe
that was the Yowie. Maybe it was a fucking Yowie. You don't know.
Okay,
yeah. See, you got nothing to say now.
Yeah, okay.
Didn't even know I knew about the Yowie. No.
The Yowie. You mean
don't know about the Yowie? Is that what you're telling me?
The Yowie. You mean the bunyip?
Yeah, well, bunyips. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. No.
Don't you have Yowies? Am I wrong?
I haven't heard of a Yowie.
No. Okay. I am wrong. Oh my gosh, look at me.
No, I thought you just meant a bunyip.
Yeah, it's a bunyip. It is a bunyip, but I said it wrong.
Oh, actually, maybe they are called Yowies. I don't know. I just haven't heard that.
I don't know. I think
bunyips,
it might be something.
A bunyip is a monster that lives in Australia. But the thing is, a bunyip generally lives by water. You don't tend to find them. Like they're fucking real.
You know what? Right now, Yowie is from Australia.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Oh, there we go. I didn't even know. So, what is a Yowie? Sorry.
The Yowie is one of several names for an Australian folklore entity reputed to live in the outback. The creature has its roots in Aboriginal oral history.
Right.
In parts of Queensland, they are known as the Quinkin.
Right.
Or as the Jugabina.
Okay.
In parts of South Wales, they're called the Jindaring, the Juawara. There's a lot of different kinds.
Juawara, that kind of sounds Aboriginal, yeah.
So they're Yowies. They are like the The Yowie is usually described as a hairy ape-like creature. So he's like our Bigfoot.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay, because a bunyip is not. Because a bunyip is not
crazy.
No, of course you're not.
No, I am.
But I don't even remember hearing that. Mind you, I've had a lot to drink, but I mean, I don't remember ever hearing about a Yowie. To be honest, that's really interesting.
I know about a fucking Yowie and you don't, and I don't even live in Australia.
I hate to say this, I'm not an Aboriginal, but have we met? Am I an Aboriginal? And I don't even live on your continent. No, you're maybe just more educated than I am. I don't know.
I feel like I'm just more educated in weird shit than you are, and I think that's really what it is. I've heard more about cryptids than you have. That's.
I mean, bunyip. I was brought up on the stories of the bunyip, but I don't remember. There you go.
You know what? To be honest, I've heard of the bunyip, but no. Okay, so here's the difference. Yeah. The bunyip is also an Aboriginal creature.
Yes,
but it is said to lurk in swamps.
That's what I said by water.
It's in the water.
That's exactly right. So
the Yowie is an ape man creature. Okay, like the Yeti,
Bigfoot,
or
the
like
Yeti.
a Bigfoot, Sasquatch, or here in Florida we have the skunk ape. So
now
and they're more red here.
But see, here's the thing that is amazing, isn't it? That you've got continents which have had no contact with each other that have a belief in a monster which is the same. It is.
No, haven't you ever heard of Pangea? What are we doing here? No, I'm sorry.
I mean, it is kind of amazing in a sense, you know.
There's there's two thoughts on this. I think one of them is, and oh my god, I've had so much wine. One of them is that the way that people's minds work. It doesn't matter where you are. Your mind creates the same kinds of concepts. It's kind of a universal consciousness. And the other one is that people from all over these places have experience with these exact types of creatures. And so what is the truth? I don't know. I really don't.
if you think about it, the bunyip, as in a monster, makes real sense. It's like So if you say to your children, don't go by the creek bed because the bunyip will get you. Now, translate that over thousands of years. What it means is, kids, don't play by the creek bed. You might fall in and drown. Right, well, so you create a monster to scare the kids away, which then eventually becomes a real creature. And after Europeans arrive, suddenly these things called buffaloes arrive in Australia, and Aboriginals start actually making serious sightings of bunyips. And, well, what they're actually probably seeing is buffaloes.
Water buffaloes?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's be honest, though. Even in the UK, okay, they have the same scary thing they tell their kids. Jenny Greenteeth, okay, the water fairy.
Right, okay.
She was known in Yorkshire, especially, like, she was somebody that, like, parents would tell their children not to go near the water because she would pull them in.
Mm.
And there's, like, rhymes that they would, I actually don't remember any of them at the moment, but there are rhymes that parents would, you know, kind of like nursery rhymes.
Yep.
That would remind their children, don't go near the water. Because if you did, basically this thing was going to drag you under. So they would, it's the same kind of thing. But why are they all the same kinds of creatures? Well, is it because those are the creatures we think up as humans, that our brains create them? Is it because we're really I don't know. I think it's kind of weird.
But here's the thing, put the bunyip to one side, all right? With all of the creatures that we're talking about, or the concept of the creatures we're talking about, they're all a primate. Like, from what we can understand, from what people are describing, they are describing a primate. So it is part of the human
condition.
Well, the human evolution, right? So, because if it's a primate, it's part of the human, thing. So, but the thing is,
people report seeing hickey punks. They're not human.
What's a hickey punk? I've never heard of them.
Oh, Jesus, Warren.
Sorry.
We need to teach you some stuff about the Fae. That's your problem. That's what you don't understand.
I know.
Well, my family is from, the areas where we have problems with those. So, no, hickey punks are 1 foot. They're 1 foot, a head, and an arm with one eye, and they hold a lantern. They hop through bogs. They're a Fae creature. It's kind of fairy lights. Like the bog lights.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, bog lights, basically.
Do you know
I know.
Do you know one of my favorite creatures is a Mexican one, which is the
chupacabra.
No. Oh, no. It's the flying witch. It's a witch almost that flies and there is a famous piece of footage which kind of really looks like a witch on a fucking broomstick flying.
I have seen that.
And it's apparently, whether it's fake or whether it's real, no one has been able to debunk it, my understanding, yet. Even though no one's saying it's real, no one is claiming it's real. But
that's in Veracruz, right? You're talking about the flying witches of Veracruz.
Yes, is that what it is? I thought it was Mexican. Is that what?
No, Veracruz is in Mexico. Yeah, Veracruz. Yeah.
I'm terribly sorry. I'm Australian. I'm sorry.
Look, you're talking to an American. I don't know shit going on anywhere. I'm surprised I knew that. Okay. My brain is filled with useless trivia of things that don't matter. I mean, I know that they've had some weird shit in the skies. To be honest with you, I don't know what the fuck's going on with that. That is not a cryptid in the formal sense.
Well,
nobody has.
I don't.
Well, no, I'm saying that's not something that has necessarily been something that people have been looking for throughout time. This is something recent.
It's a Spanish thing. This is the thing. It's
it's Mexican.
It didn't exist until Mexico became Spanish, and then suddenly it exists. No. But you can't
There's no stories from it pre-video.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So
that's what I'm saying.
So unless the
2018,
unless the Spanish brought this creature with them, do you know what I mean? It's like it doesn't. Like you can't sort of say... You realize
the Spanish live in Europe and the Mexicans live in Mexico, right?
No. What I mean is...
They didn't bring it with them. No. This didn't show up till 2018.
Oh, really?
2017. Yeah, unless...
okay,
and if I'm wrong, please forgive me.
I thought this had been going on for...
It didn't show up, no. As far as I know...
50 years or something. Okay, sorry.
As far as I know, it's only been a video that they started in 2017.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
And the only reason that I might know this is because, to be honest with you, I really hate watching regular television. And there's two things I like to watch when I'm not watching something specific. I like to watch bad TV, which includes terrible things like Ancient Aliens, which we discussed, and also... one of those, oh my God, what's the name of that show? It's paranormal something.
Paranormal.
We have the Travel Channel here, okay? The Travel Channel. Do you have that there? I don't know.
Well, I don't have cable TV anymore, so I really couldn't tell you.
No. Okay. Well, here we have the Travel Channel, and now all it shows is paranormal television, which means the only place you travel to is beyond the grave. Okay, that's it. Right. And so the shows have gotten more and more inane. And to be honest with you, it has probably led to me being more and more cynical about anything that I have seen in any of these things. But there's a lot of stuff on there, and the only reason I think I know when this started happening is because on that show, Paranormal Investigators or whatever it is, they encourage people to send in videos. And there were videos of these witches. And it started in 2017. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not sure that it's not some sort of a weird fucking drone. Well,
first of all, the whole idea that it's a bit weird to believe in something that didn't exist pre-European incursion into the Americas.
Oh, well, the Europeans didn't actually create society, so can we remember that?
No, but that's what I mean.
We don't have to think about things not...
this is that whole argument. It's are trolls real?
They live on Twitter every day, so yeah. They don't live under bridges anymore. They fucking live on Twitter, so yes, trolls are real.
And in fact, and if anyone wants to watch an amazing Norwegian movie, watch Troll Hunter. It is fantastic. It is such a good film.
Didn't we watch? Did we watch that on? Was that something we looked at on one of your other? Things?
We did actually. We definitely did. Well, if you go to my YouTube channel, you can watch my drunken review of Troll Hunter. We did also do it on the Cult Movie Show. I do, but I can't remember whether
was I on with you or not. Because it kind of sounds familiar. But it's a long time ago, and I probably was drinking.
It was a long time ago now. It was 4 years ago. It's a great film with a fantastic, I think, one of the classic lines of cinema, which is in it, which is but it's the whole idea is that trolls can smell Christians. That's right. So they can smell them, right? So the troll hunter says, when they lose their cameraman, they bring in a new camerawoman or, cameraman, and they say, "Are you a Christian?" And she says, "I'm a Muslim." And the leader of the group says, "Is that going to be a problem?" And he says, "It's never occurred to me before in my life." It was a really fascinating comment.
I feel like I remember that.
Yeah,
I feel like you and I feel like I watched that for your show. I feel like I did.
Yeah, look, you probably did actually. You were on that show so many fucking times.
No, it was like 3 times.
No, you were on.
And then I wasn't allowed back.
Don't give me that.
And here we are.
Yeah, well, That's another argument, another story. Isn't it? Probably a good point to sort of say, cheers,
it's
guys.
Time to, I was going to say.
Yeah. Anyway, but that was great fun. There was a great chat, and we managed to not talk about Ukraine, so I think we did pretty well.
We did a bit, but I think we said enough, and also...
Oh, no, we said our piece and we moved on.
And,
you know what I mean?
Fuck the Russian warship, go fuck yourself. I'll just say that.
I think that sums it up. That absolutely sums it up. Go fuck yourself, Russia.
Snake Island.
Yeah, Snake Island. I'll tell you something about that off here, which I won't say on here.
All right.
Yes, look, absolutely. Look, that was great fun. It was great. As we said, you all know where we stand. You all know we stand with Ukraine. We don't need to talk about this. So, so let's just leave it at that. I stand with
people. That's what I stand with.
Yes. And
send the boys home to their mothers. And yeah, let's just,
I saw I'll just say this before we go. I saw it was kind of horrific. It was a video of Ukrainian militia, because the Ukrainians are actually allowing prisoners of war to call their families, which is unheard of. I don't think it's ever happened in a war before, where prisoners of war have been allowed to get on a mobile phone and call their families to let them know they're alive. It has never happened before. And I'll put it to you this way. I don't ever believe that the American or the Australian government would ever allow prisoners of war to call their families. So I have to say, one, great piece of propaganda, but also kudos, Ukraine. But
Ukraine seems to be...
I saw a Russian captured calling his family, and he's talking to his mother. He's blaming that he was alive, he was captured, and his mother didn't even really understand there was even a war on. She didn't even, it blew my mind. It absolutely blew my mind.
What I know, and I will be honest, and I'm going to end it on this, is that I know that a lot of those boys that went out, they thought they were going for training.
I know.
They didn't want to be doing what they're doing. They're there, and they are looking for help, and a lot of them have now, not a lot, but some of them have surrendered. And the people from Ukraine are saying, please do. We will feed you. We will bring you home. We'll get you home to your mother. Don't die in our country.
It does.
And you know what? That hits home for me, because I understand that they're taking these young boys who, they're doing what they're told they have to do for their country, and they don't know what's really happening. And I feel so sorry. They're conscripts. They are, and they don't know. They're being lied to like the rest of the country is.
And the problem is, we've got to remember, the Russian army is not like the American army. This is not a group of volunteers who understand what they're doing. These are conscripts who have no fucking idea what's going on. And
those boys, a lot of them were told they were being taken for training. So I'm just going to leave it at that. And I want us to stop.
Yeah,
I just want it to stop, because nobody should be killing each other. And let's end it there.
Yeah, let's end it there. That's a good point to end it. So anyway, we'll be back in next week or so. Thanks for listening. Always Irish. It is a pleasure and an honour to talk to you, as always. As always. And we'll be back soon.
Thanks for listening, guys. Thank you.
Cheers, guys.